Okay, you guys, get ready with me. And we're going to talk about the difference between CoolPeel lasers and CO2, because I feel like a lot of patients in my clinic, in my office, are coming in asking about the CoolPeel laser, and they think it's a CO2 laser, and there's a lot of questions and ambiguity about this procedure. So this video is a little laser lecture while we talk about CoolPeel, CO2, and just a little bit about lasers and laser physics. So hopefully you'll understand a little bit more about lasers and you won't be taken for a ride by marketing when these things pop up on your feed. So I get a lot of questions about, I'm using all my MDR products, I get a lot of questions about the CoolPeel laser. I'm gonna look straight into the camera, you guys, because this is like my mirror for getting ready. Sometimes people get mad that I'm like not looking at the right area in the phone, but this is gonna be my mirror. So a lot of people come and ask about CoolPeel laser. What is CoolPeel? What is CO2? What is CO2 laser? How is a CO2 laser different than a CoolPeel laser? So because of these questions that I'm getting asked, I can tell that, of course, marketing and big pharma and big companies will take advantage of these like keywords like laser, CO2 laser, and try to use it to their advantage for marketing to get you guys into the office and to buy these products. It also helps laser companies get these lasers and devices into med spas and other, clinics that are doing aesthetic procedures, because most people who aren't well versed in lasers would be terrified of the CO2. For a provider to understand how to use the CO2 is actually like a really big deal, because you have to go through a lot of training and understanding of lasers to treat patients with CO2, because you can really F someone up if you don't know what you're doing. So I think that in this industry, we're moving away from, a lot of filler because a lot of people were overdoing filler and injecting too much, and people were looking weird and distorted. And so now we're going more towards laser and surgery. 30-year-olds getting facelifts and lasers kind of taking an uptick in the industry, which is good. Not the surgery and facelift part, but the laser part is good, because I do feel like lasers are one of the best things that you can do long-term to keep your skin healthy. Again, I'm almost 50 years old and I've been doing lasers since I was in my early 20s. And there's something about the quality of the skin that lasers give you over a lifetime that just makes the skin look youthful. Now you can have volume loss, you can have bone distortion and bone resorption and all the fun things that happen as we age, but if your skin quality and texture looks youthful, it doesn't have brown spots and large pores and texture irregularities and sebaceous hyperplasia and papules and skin tags, if your skin looks smooth and baby soft on your face, neck, and décolleté, that'll take you a long way without having to do filler or surgery or a facelift, no matter how old you are. And so lasers are really, really an important component to aesthetics, but it takes a lot of training to understand how to use them. So a lot of providers hadn't used them in the past, but now they don't have a choice, because that's kind of where the, where science is taking us now. And so now, instead of doing fully ablative CO2 lasers and these really crazy aggressive lasers, you're doing things like CoolPeel, which is kind of just this baby laser that can allow people to say, hey, I have a CO2, but not all CO2 lasers are created equal. And that's the purpose of this video, is to teach you guys and enlighten you and empower you so that you don't get taken for a ride by marketing companies and get lured into these med spas that make you buy a package and then you're roped into 3 treatments even though you're not seeing any results. And hopefully after watching this video, I'll answer some questions just about lasers, and we'll go over a little bit about laser physics as well. Okay, so when you talk about lasers, there's different parameters and there's different components of a laser that makes it strong and it makes it target certain things. So a CO2 laser, by definition, is a 10,600 nanometer wavelength. Now, what that means is that it targets water as the chromophore. Chromophore is just what a laser is targeting in the skin. So CO2 lasers that have a 10,600 nanometer wavelength are targeting water in the skin. And that helps with texture, pore size, fine lines, wrinkles, and stimulates collagen, versus like a V-beam, which is a 595 nanometer wavelength laser, targets hemoglobin. That's why it's used to treat redness, rosacea, facial telangiectasias, and vessels. Or like a laser that's targeting melanin, like a 1064 nanometer wavelength laser, or even like a Q-switch 532, or even an 810 diode. There's different nanometers that are targeting melanin as the chromophore, and that's what it's targeting. That's why like a pico laser or a YAG laser will target brown spots or freckles or melasma and Fraxel, which is, there's different lasers with different wavelengths that target different things, whether you're trying to get rid of texture irregularities, redness, pigment, and then you have like hair removal and tattoo removal lasers, which are longer pulse lasers. They're longer times when the energy is getting delivered and emitted to the skin, and that's why it's targeting like bigger molecules like hair pigment or like a hair follicle or a tattoo particle of ink, like, you know, cadmium or iron or cobalt or whatever the tattoo is that you're trying to target. So there's different lasers that depend on their lots of different parameters, not just their wavelength, but their pulse width, how fast they are. And so rejuvenating lasers, like in my office, are usually faster. You have nano pulse, pico pulse. You have faster lasers, or then you have like the longer pulse lasers, which are more like hair removal and tattoo removal. So that's another question that comes up. If I do a rejuvenating laser on my face, is it going to hair removal my beard off if you're a man? And the answer is no. So there's different lasers that are, you know, designed to do different things, and it's not just the wavelength. It's, you know, a lot of other parameters too. So in addition to like the pulse width or the speed of the laser, it's the power, the fluence, the energy, the spot size. So when people are saying, oh, I have a CO2, not all CO2s are created equal. All of those two CO2 lasers that have in common is the wavelength, and that they're targeting the same thing. So you can have a CoolPeel laser, which is a 10,600 nanometer wavelength laser, or you can have a fully ablative CO2 or a core fractionated CO2 that are going to give much more impactful results when it comes to fine lines, wrinkles, acne scars, and pore size. And so for a company to say, oh, CoolPeel lasers is CO2, it kind of gives the patient or the customer the idea, oh, I'm getting a CO2 laser, and I know what CO2 lasers can do because they're amazing. But it's like false advertising, because not all CO2s are created equal. One laser, like the CoolPeel, is going 10 microns, 20 microns. That's like taking my nail and like scratching the surface of my epidermis off, the stratum corneum, the upper layer of the epidermis. That's like hardly anything. Now, if you're talking about a 350 micron depth of like a CO2 core or the ultra pulse biluminescence, I mean, that's completely taking off almost the first layer of the face, and that's how you get those before and afters that are like stunning, like people who go from wrinkles and sun damage and then they look like they have a facelift with this baby soft skin. But you know, CO2 lasers can be too strong also. If they're too deep, if they're too powerful, then you get that kind of porcelain, like waxy kind of look to the skin. And so that's why a lot of other dermatologists will use the erbium laser, because it's a strong, powerful laser, but it doesn't overdo it. You want something in the middle. You don't need the crazy gnarly one, and you don't need like the light one that's just basically blowing on your face and doing nothing. But the more you understand about lasers, and you can ask your provider, like, how deep is it? Show me the before and afters. And also with before and afters, are they just showing you the CoolPeel laser, or are they showing you a CoolPeel laser with also a Fraxel, and with also a little peel, and with also some like micro needling or whatever they're doing as well? So it's just really important to evaluate and know what to look for, and know what to ask your provider when you're scheduling yourself for a CO2 laser, because your idea of a CO2 and what you think your results are going to be are probably different than the CO2 that they're advertising. And I just don't want you guys to get taken advantage of. So also, when you're talking about lasers, you can have fully ablative or full field lasers, or you can have fractionated lasers. So fractionated lasers are just treating like a fraction of the skin. That's why they're called fractionated, and that's why oftentimes you need more than one treatment to get the full result, because full field is like taking a lawnmower and just completely taking off that full surface area of the skin. Fractionated is basically just treating a fraction. Now you can have 20%, 30%, 50%, and when you look at the spot size, like where the laser is touching the skin, there's like little holes. They're covering 50% of the coverage, or 30%, or 20%, 10%. There's all different parameters that you can adjust when you're doing lasers on people. So that's why when you're going to a laser provider and they don't know the settings, and you guys would be surprised, because a lot of laser experts will DM me saying, hey, Capel, can I get your settings for this or that? And I'm like, do your patients know that you have to ask me for the settings and you don't know the settings on your own? So like a lot goes into lasers, because you can mess with the settings and the treatment parameters, but you can really customize the laser treatments to address your individual patient, their skin concerns, their skin type, their skin thickness, their Fitzpatrick skin color. And there's so many different parameters you can choose that you don't just do a drop-down menu with all these settings and do the same thing on everyone. That's what you see in some of these, I don't want to name names, but some of these like Medi-Spa chains that usually make you do packages because they have no idea what they're doing, and you combine that with a mid-level who is undertrained, and that just either is a disaster for complications for happening, or they're so scared of it that you don't get a result at all. So let's talk about what the skin looks like on cross-section. So when you look at skin under the microscope, the top layer of the skin is called the epidermis, and the lower part of the skin is called the dermis. And the dermis has two different components. The upper layer of the dermis is called the papillary dermis. That's like the upper 1/3. and then the lower 2/3 is the reticular dermis. And the papillary and reticular dermis is where all the extracellular matrix proteins are. So when I say extracellular matrix proteins, I mean like collagen and elastin, all those thick proteins that kids have like a ton of, and that's why babies have these tight, smooth, beautiful cheeks, because they have a ton of collagen and elastin. It lives in the dermis. The epidermis doesn't have those extracellular matrix proteins as much as like the dermis does. And so when you're doing lasers, where's my sunscreen? Highly recommend Clear Fusion or the Mineral Plus. These are the two new sunscreens from MDR. I'm gonna use the tinted one because I like tinted sunscreens. It also has iron oxides in it, which helps protect your skin from the harmful effects of not only UV light, but also like blue light from our devices and environmental pollutants and toxins and so forth. So where was I going with this? So when you're talking about lasers, you need lasers that are going to affect the dermis. You don't just want to go to the epidermis, because although that will temporarily maybe make skin a little bit better, when you're truly talking about rejuvenating the skin, stimulating collagen and smoothing the texture, you want to go a little bit deeper. And although a really small superficial laser will kind of give you a little glow up if you have, you know, like a wedding or something to go to. Where's my necktie? Sorry, necktie. This has topical adrenaline in it, which helps keep your neck tight, smooth and tight, your neck and décolleté. So what happens is when you do these like very superficial lasers like the CoolPeel, or even like Clear and Brilliant, it'll give you like a glow up, but it's not reaching the depth into the papillary and reticular dermis to induce changes, to induce collagen and elastin synthesis. So CoolPeel, to put things in perspective, CoolPeel laser goes 10 microns, 10 to 20 microns. And if you look at the upper layer of the epidermis where the stratum corneum is, it's basically just taking that dead skin cell layer off on top. So you have like a little glow up, you'll look nice, but for like long-term effects, for rejuvenating effects, and for example, patients who come into my office and they'll have like a Fraxel or fractionated CO2, or even an erbium, they do that once a year or every couple of years. I mean, those results last, and they set you up to be in a good position when you're older, when you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s and beyond, because it's like a workout for your skin. You're stimulating neogenesis of collagen and elastin, and over time, that gives skin that tight, beautiful, bouncy, smooth, tight, plump contour, versus these very superficial lasers like CoolPeel will make you look good for 3 days and then nothing. So when you're going to like 350 microns or 250 microns, you're reaching the papillary dermis or the reticular dermis, to where you're really smoothing the contour of the skin, and you're really, causing contour smoothness where you're addressing like that texture. When you're going too superficial, like a CoolPeel, you're not going to get those results with a CoolPeel laser. And so it's like false advertising to show like someone's neck and décolleté and say, look, I had a CO2 CoolPeel and it did this, because that's just not, a CoolPeel laser is not going to do that. It's basically going to be like a glycolic acid peel or a very superficial chemical peel by taking off that dead skin cell layer. Now, I'm not trying to say anything bad about a CoolPeel laser. I just don't want you guys to get taken advantage of. This is all sunscreen, by the way, you guys, I'm putting on my face. And I do think that, a CoolPeel laser may be good for some of you guys, but when you look at like Google images, and images of like people who've had a CO2, and you see these like amazing results, and then you expect that you're gonna get those same results from like a CoolPeel just because it's a CO2. I just think that it's like, I think it's like false advertising. And so I just want you guys to be smarter about your decisions that you make, and like not think like, oh, I see the CO2 result, these acne scars are gone, and I'm gonna get a CoolPeel laser at this Medipol down the street for this package deal, and I'm gonna get the same result, because that's just not true. That's just not gonna happen. So when you're looking at like the strength of a laser, oh my gosh, this is hard to do in the mirror. When you're looking at like my eyebrows are microbladed, but just to kind of fill in the gaps, I always do like a little bit of powder. When you're looking at the strength of a laser, so like I said, CoolPeel and like a full field fractionated CO2 or the CO2 Ultra Pulse or CO2 Core, they're all CO2. So they're all 10,600 nanometer wavelengths. But when you increase the energy or the fluence of a laser and you decrease the pulse duration, you increase the power of that laser. It's like going to the gym and like saying, okay, I'm gonna lift a dumbbell and my friend's gonna lift a dumbbell. But the person who is lifting 2-pound dumbbells and doing, 4 reps is different than the person lifting the 35 pound dumbbells and doing like 10 reps. So it's just different. You're both using dumbbells, you're both going to the gym and using a dumbbell, but two totally different workouts, two totally different energy, exhaustion, putting in that workout, and two totally different outcomes, muscle fatigue, muscle strength, and so forth. But it was both going to the gym to use a dumbbell, just like both CoolPeel and CO2 core are both CO2 lasers. So just be smarter. So another, increasing the energy, or what we call the fluence, can increase the strength of a laser as well. But I think this is for like the medical students and derm residents out there. If you don't understand laser physics, this is kind of a harder concept, but hopefully if I explain it to you, you'll kind of understand it a little bit better also. So when you look at the pulse width is just the amount of time that energy is delivered into the skin with a laser. So like the pulse width could be, 6 milliseconds or like 1.5 milliseconds, for example, with a V-beam. And what happens is you have the same amount of fluence or energy being delivered into the skin. So it could either be 6 milliseconds or it could be that same amount of energy in a smaller window of time where it packs a punch. It's like, pow! It's like so I sound like my attendings that used to teach me. You could take 6 milliseconds and put the energy in, or you could take 1.5 milliseconds and it's just like packs a punch. It's like the same amount of energy is going to a punch, but over a shorter amount of time. It just makes it more powerful. So that's another parameter that can totally change with lasers. It's not just the energy, the fluence, the spot size, which how big, like you can take energy that's delivered over a surface area this big, or the same amount of energy in a surface area this big, or the same amount of energy in a very long period of time or very short period of time. That's the pulse width. I'm giving you guys a full-on like laser physics lecture right now. So just because lasers are the same wavelength, there's so many other parameters, and that's what I'm trying to show you guys. There's so many other parameters that can change the strength of a laser, that not all lasers are created equal. Another thing happened when I was posting the Contour TRL. Now, if you guys haven't seen the Contour TRL, that thing is like a beast. It is like, I've never had a laser give me results or have this amount of strength, which is actually kind of scary. With great strength comes responsibility. You have to understand how to use these lasers, because you can really mess someone up if you're not appropriately trained. But on the same note, these lasers are so strong. The Erbium Contour TRL is so crazy that people like literally look like they had a facelift. So a lot of people fly in to see me, from other parts of the country where they maybe have neglected their skin until, they're 70 years old and they've been living on a farm and they haven't really done anything to protect their skin. And they're like, okay, doctor, I have one shot at this, one overhaul. I need you to give me like the strongest laser you have, one treatment. I don't care what the downtime is, but make my skin look like, go from this to this, make it look like this weather-beaten, neglected skin in my 70s to baby soft, smooth skin. And honestly, this laser is so incredible that it can do that, but it is so strong and powerful that you have to understand how to use it. Now, it's an erbium laser, it's by Cyton, and there's a setting, there's a pro-fractional option on it, and there's it's called Contour TRL. So I've seen a lot of people say, oh yeah, no, I had an erbium too. Totally different laser company, totally different laser. Yes, they're both erbium lasers. They're both they're both a certain nanometer wavelength, but it's like a 2600 nanometer wavelength, but totally different lasers. So I see it not only with CoolPeel and CO2, but I see it with erbium too. People will be like, oh, my doctor's office has an erbium. I'm like, I highly doubt they do, because there's only probably 4 of us in California who have it, and it requires such a high level of training. I highly doubt your MediSpa has the Erbium Contour TRL. And if they do have it, they should probably be regulated, because I'm sure that they're gonna end up scarring people or hurting people because it's so powerful. But that's another play on words that marketing companies will do. And like, oh, we have an erbium, because erbium's popping off all over social media and you're seeing these before and afters. And then they'll kind of lure you in by saying, well, we have an erbium too. It's a different type of erbium, but not all erbiums are created equal. So I just want you guys to be smarter, so that you don't get taken for a ride by these laser companies. And then also, if you're a provider starting off your own clinic, you're fresh out of residency or a derm residency, or say you're finished your RN and you want to open a clinic, and these laser companies come to you and they're like, oh, Capital is posting these Contour Erbium TRL laser posts. We have an erbium that's cheaper and better and more efficacious, and then you'll buy this laser, and then you're stuck with this laser providing it to your patients, which is not going to give you the same results as these, another more powerful erbium. So it's just really, really important, not only for patients, but for providers out there. These laser companies just want to sell you these devices, but do your research, look at the before and afters, and understand laser physics enough to where you won't get taken for a ride to buy one of these lasers. And if you're a patient, don't go to one of these many spots who got roped into buying these lasers who aren't going to either give you the results that you want, or they're going to end up even worse, hurting you or giving you a complication. Yeah, go see if the kids want to go. Oh my gosh, okay, I gotta go. I'm here trying to like get ready so we can go walk our dog on the beach on this beautiful Sunday morning, and I'm like straight out of the shower. Okay, that's my video for this week. CoolPeel laser versus CO2, a little bit about laser physics. Hopefully you guys understood and learned a little bit, and if you guys have any questions, just drop a comment in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer any questions, derm related, laser related, but just don't get hung up on marketing terms because they know what you're searching, they know what you're looking for, and just look beyond just a beautiful before and after picture, which may not even belong to the person who's posting it in the first place. All right, you guys, I'm here for you. Just want to make you empowered to have the best decisions for yourself and for your skin, and to have the best skin of your life at every age. On that note, have a great weekend. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment in the comment section and share this video with someone who may find it useful. As always, I love you guys.